I think quite specific things to talk about. Aspen, market liked this deal with GSK.
Of course, we're going to be speaking to Stephen Sard in just a bit, so tell me what your thoughts are.
Market liked this. It's immediately earnings enhancing. It's not the first time they've done a deal with GSK.
Yeah.
So obviously the last one was successful for both parties, so now they've gone another one. This is quite big. It's 2 billion odd rands worth. So it's a big deal. And I mean, Aspen's, I think they're about a 20 price earnings ratio, which means it's, you know, anticipating a reasonable amount of good news in the share price, but obviously the market saw this is good news, so that's up 6%.
You could ask why GlaxoSmithKline would want to sell such a good business.
Aspen's obviously got the distribution. They're getting very specific areas, but obviously they've got the distribution out, they've got the ability to move product outside of those areas. So Glaxo obviously can't move it and Aspen can, so they're selling it.
$263 million, is it slightly hefty price tag, Wayne?
It's earnings enhancing from day one.
Okay.
So
you're not worried about
it doesn't sound overly expensive. The other big thing today, banks are just totally and utterly flying. Yeah. I mean, this is a seriously large move for banks in
First Rand up 3.5%.
Yeah, it's a big move in one day. RMBH also up 2-3 odd percent. It's a big move in one day, and I can only attribute this to foreigners buying. Can't see a local guy coming in and buying banks.
Why not?
Well, they can buy banks, but to push it 3-4% in a day, why? I mean, only a foreigner would be that illogical. A local person wouldn't be that illogical. We've had the banks around forever. So this is foreigners
money
back
though,
in.
are we seeing a strong flow of money coming through into the market? And what is so attractive about our South African banks right now?
Well, quite simply, the retailers are too expensive for them now. And maybe they're flying into the banks now. I mean, there is an increased foreign
participation. Is this a rotation now out of the likes of the retailers into the banks? True is down 1.4.
No, but the big ones, Shoprite essentially.
Yeah.
That hasn't fallen massively, so there's no big rotation
and Woolies
yet.
Down only 0.5% today.
So there's no big rotation yet. Watch the Shoprite share price. If that starts to fall, it's foreigners selling, because that's where the real money has gone into by foreigners. But I think it's the foreigners buying the local banks.
I mean, would you be buying retailers if we see a significant fall in some of these stock prices? And what level, what kind of Ps would you think deem attractive in the retail space? It's
a difficult question, that, because I think they'll only show value maybe even 20% lower. In other words, Ps below 20, I would think. But I mean, that's just a guess. The problem is you won't buy it then, because all the reasons that will cause the share price to fall 20% will be so negative that you'd actually, oh no, it's still too expensive. You know, so shares are strange. Shares and human psychology are strange animals.
Well, I mean, shares are driven by human psychology. So
no, over time they're driven by earnings. It's just that in the shorter
you really
time.
Believe that, though,
oh no, totally. Shares are totally and utterly driven by earnings in the longer term.
So you think markets are efficient?
Yeah, in the longer term, but in the short term they're driven by emotion. The markets are highly efficient in the longer term.
Okay, so Anglo Gold is down just over 2%.
Yeah.
These gold miners, just when we thought they were looking quite good and gold price was edging up and we saw a bit of weakening in the local currency, where to from here for the likes of gold
I'll put my neck out here. You know I don't like gold. I mean,
but I know there was a stage where you were buying a couple of gold miners. You were saying that you were considering
considering buying. Like we haven't
So
bought
you
yet.
didn't do it?
No. But at this price, why not? I mean, these shares have been so pummeled. It's a pure trading opportunity, but they've been so pummeled it might be worth a little bit of a punt.
Would Goldfields be an option for you, given the fact that they are moving so heavily into Peru? I
suppose you really want, if you want to go for a bit of an oversold situation in the shares, I mean, maybe Goldfields isn't the one to go for. Maybe Anglo Gold is, because that's the one that's been pounded so much. So, but look, these gold shares are actually looking very, very oversold at these levels. They truly are.
So let's also just touch on SAB, because that was also a big story this week. We saw underlying beer sales volumes up around 3%, offsetting some of the negativity in Europe and the US, Asia, Africa looking quite strong.
Looking very strong. But this is not a cheap share. I mean, this PE is approaching 30, if it isn't 30 already. So it's more than double the market's price, the valuation. And you need extremely good results to justify such a high PE ratio. So I thought the results were favorable. I still wouldn't be overweight.
And I mean, the company's going to spend millions into expansion into the African continent. They're saying massive growth.
But
there's just not enough beer for the demand.
I mean, look, they are going to build extra capacity in Africa, so there might be a bit of a drag effect on earnings going forward. But the amount of money that they're spending in Africa relative to the size of the company is actually still quite small. I mean, this is a seriously large company.
Kumba iron ore, we saw first quarter iron ore production
Yes.
up 15%.
Yeah, it's good. I'm amazed they got it to the port, because they can produce a lot more than that. Just can they sell it? Can they get it on a train and on a ship?
Yeah, but Transnet is becoming far more efficient.
Yeah, so and we're very, very happy about that. But look, the iron ore share price, we've spoken about this often now. There's big capacity coming on stream in the next 2 years. There'll probably be an oversupply in the iron ore market in 2 years. So don't get too excited about Kumba's 8% dividend yield. Earnings can go down quickly if big new supply comes on stream. So maybe I'm wrong. I mean, who knows? But I'll be a little bit cautious on Kumba.
Let's also touch on Anglo Platinum. First quarter production down 24%.
Yeah. Now look, the platinum mines. I mean, platinum is very different to gold. There's an industrial use for platinum, and there is a clear limited supply of platinum, and it's in South Africa. So you would assume if China holds itself out and Europe doesn't collapse, that the demand for platinum will actually be quite good going forward. But in the shorter term, I can't see a reason to buy the shares. I just can't see it. These shares have come from, 3, 4, 5 years ago, from 40 PEs down to 15, 16, 17 PEs. But I still don't think they're cheap enough.